Hello YouTube, this is Asatsu5 and this is going to be a book slash channel review, or it's really a book review, but it's going to give a little description and a profile of a YouTube channel as well. This is the Gentleman's Pocket Knife History Construction of the World's Most Beautiful Models by Stefan. He has a YouTube channel and he specializes in gentleman's knives. He also has some, excuse me, sorry about that. He also has some reviews on some Maxpedition stuff, but his main draw is his gentleman's knife collection and his reviews of them. Now, in reference to his YouTube channel, I'll say I don't know if I'll call his videos on knives reviews per se, because he never gives really any criticisms to the knives. He never really talks about how much they cost and where to buy them, but they're a good profile of the knife, whether it's a profile of the maker or the profile of the company, the history of that particular knife, or some anecdotal stories that refer to that knife. You know, he's not really, well, his videos are not so much on edge retention or anything like that. It's about the build quality and the story behind the knife. And he has inspired me to buy at least 5 knives that I would have no clue that would have ever existed without him. And that's saying a lot. You know, I used to be a Nut and Fancy fan, a Petit Imperial. I don't really watch his videos anymore, but Nut and Fancy has inspired me to buy particular knives like this guy has. You know, like the Micarta K55K. I'm not 100% sure. He might have inspired me to buy the Duke. It might have been someone else, but the Duke is a traditional knife that I bought. There was the Laguiole en Blanc, which, due to his channel, I knew existed and I bought it. There was the Notol. He was a key inspiration for me buying the Notol. The Patata knife. One of the knives that he recommended that I would not recommend myself. I'm a little disappointed in it, and I've talked about that in the review, I think. But yeah, and he references Opinel and Victorinox, but he doesn't really give a lot of airtime to them because everybody already knows about them. He's trying to expose some of the artisan knives, let's see. There was the Notor, the Laguiole, the Patata, the K55K. Let's see what else. I know there's a 5th one. Maybe the Duke. But yeah, around 4 or 5 knives that I didn't know existed until I watched his channel. The only traditional knife that I can really say that color level got me interested in and that I actually bought is the Hiko Nagami knife. He was a big reason why I bought the Hiko Nagami, and he also got me somewhat interested in the Doctor's knives, but I don't own one of them yet. But yeah, this guy has opened my eyes to so many different knives that I didn't know existed, and they're very difficult to get in America compared to maybe Cold Steel or Spinalco or Benchmade. Most of these knives that you see in this book are not available on Blade HQ, Knife Works, or Smoky Mountain Knife Company, or Blade Ops. They don't exist on those websites. Some of the few would be GEC and Case would be some of the few examples that you can get, but a lot of other places you have to go on European websites to buy them. And I'm going to show you a knife company in this book. I'm going to show you several knife companies in this book that I'm interested in, but I'll get into that later. But I really love his channel. I don't know if I'd call him a knife reviewer or just a knife enthusiast. But I've said this in past videos. I've really been drawn away from the tactical knives, the black knives like Strider, Sniper Blade Works. Some of the knives that are very I don't want to say intimidating because they're not necessarily intimidating to me, but they're very tactical. You know, tactical for the sake of being tactical, but yet giving you no tactical edge in a self-defense situation. They're just EDC, they're tactical EDC knives, but they kind of fail at that, in my opinion. Not all of them are that bad, but these knives are very beautiful, they're very elegant, and they do the job well. And I'm going to tell you that I've already filmed this video and it was way too long and I ran out of space on my memory card. And I was like, you know what, I need to shorten this video up. So this is take 2. And the beginning of this book is basically the history of gentleman's knives. He talks about the major knife producing areas like Sheffield, Solingen, you know, Pennsylvania, you know, Case Cutlery, you know, Nortor, GEC, you know, he talks about those companies, and he talks about some of the technical stuff like handle material, blade shapes, blade grinds, you know, handle materials, and he talks a little bit about that. And then there was like a catalog of knives in the back. Now don't confuse what I'm saying when I say catalog. Catalog does not equal shopping. A catalog could just be a collection of examples of whatever in a book or magazine that give you information about that concept. So you can have a museum catalog that gives you all the information of the exhibits in the museum, but the stuff in the museum is not for sale. But yeah, the last section is dedicated to different knives, and they're a lot like his channel. And they're not really reviews, but you know, they give you the website of the manufacturer. But let's dive into this book. I'm rambling, and there's some flaws with this book, and I'm going to talk about the major one right here, page 6, and that is the dark background of the dark page with dark writing. Actually is easier to see on camera than it is in person, but I am extremely dyslexic, like extremely dyslexic, and I hate reading with a passion. I love books with a passion. It's a love-hate relationship. I love the information inside books, but I hate retrieving the information from the books because I'm just so dyslexic, and this does not help at all. And I wanted to point that out, that you know, although this is a good coffee table book, that if he writes another book, he needs to address that issue because it makes it difficult to read. And it looks like the binding is coming a little bit loose right there. Something else about his YouTube channel, and this kind of references it right here. Oftentimes on his YouTube channel, he'll do an intro where he plays some relaxing music and he's like cutting up vegetables, sausages, and cheese with gentleman's knives. And it's funny because a lot of this food I'll never eat. I don't like turnips. You know, I'm not really a fan of eating cheese that has a blue line in it. Who knows, it might be delicious, but it freaks me out because I'm American and I'm not used to it. By the way, I don't know if this guy's French or German. I know he writes in German magazines. I think he speaks French, and he also speaks English, but he lives in Europe. But a lot of these things is stuff that I wouldn't normally eat, but the way he does the video with like these knives, and he's cutting it up, he's cutting up the bread, making sandwiches, it's like, wow, I really wish I was at that picnic. I wish I was there talking to him about those knives. So I thought that was funny. Like, that's a thought I had when I watched his YouTube channel. I was like, oh man, is that cheese that with blue stuff in it? Man, I kind of wish I was there. But, you know, then again, it's food that I'm not used to. I like cheddar cheese, especially extra sharp cheddar cheese, maybe from Vermont. But, you know, and I like other cheeses too. It's just not the really fancy cheeses. I've eaten some artisan cheeses, you know, some artisan cheddar and Cubby Jack and stuff, but not this so much. And you know, he talks about, you know, knife history, or gentleman knife history. He doesn't talk about weapons. He talks about weapons as far as the cutlery producing areas being famous for making swords, and then when swords were no longer required, they moved to making pocket knives. And some of them made pocket knives all along, but he references weapons, but this is not a edged weapon book. This is a gentleman's folding knife book. And again, we have the dark page with dark print issue. I'm going to try to make this fast. That's the exhibition knife to show the cutler skill. He talks about Case, GEC, some Sheffield companies, some Solingen companies. If you like pictures, he has pictures. And a lot of the pictures in this book is some of his own photography, like that. He talks about the technical stuff, handle materials, blade shapes, blade steels. This is he talks about regional knife designs, like regional French knives, regional Italian knives. He kind of talks about regional German knives, but Germany doesn't have regional knives, and America kind of has some regional knives. But he talks about regional knives and the part it plays in knife history. Let's get to the knife catalog. Traditional knives, and he has a modern knife section. Beautiful knife right there, would love to have it, but here's one of the knives I wanted to show you by Hubertus. And this was the knife I was telling you about that I went on European websites. I was kind of intimidating about shopping on European websites. I've done it before, and there was a whole exchange rate, shipping and stuff. And I mean, I've bought knives from the Philippines, Sardinia, stuff like that, were actually purchased from the country of origin. But this is a German knife, Hubertus, and just here recently I came up with the idea of looking on eBay, and you know what? These knives are on eBay, and hopefully soon when I sell one of my more expensive rail knives, I'll be able to buy one of these Hubertus knives. I found one, not the same model, but I found a other model that I'm interested in. Also interested in this model, but I'm interested in Hubertus in general. And he talks about this particular knife in reference to a story that kind of refers to this knife, about this region in Germany, I think, that I could have misread that, but basically they're known as being alcoholics, so they made this knife that has a bottle opener with a screwdriver, corkscrew, and a champagne bottle opener. And it's like, yeah, this is a knife that you can open up 3 different alcohol containers to drink. And I learned what that was, so that's cool. Never seen that tool in my life, and that's why I was kind of interested in that particular knife. But now knowing what it is, I think it would be good to open up packages, like boxes and stuff. But I really don't need a bottle opener, and I really don't need a corkscrew. I open bottles with knives all the time. There's really no need for a bottle opener if you don't, if you have a tactical knife or a strong, robust knife. I did a video on it in the past. But if you have a traditional knife, a bottle opener is a little bit necessary. But if you have a modern tactical knife, it's not really necessary. Let's see some of the other pages that I bookmarked. Here we go. This is Puma. And in my last video that I filmed of this book, I called this knife gorgeous. I've never used that term on a knife before, but it's really how I feel about it. I love Hubertus. I love this stag, this dark sandbar stag. I think that's sandbar stag. And this is a beautiful knife. Love to have it. I spent some time on the internet looking for it, and I could not find it. I was very disappointed. This is the Puma website, the German Puma website, not the American website. A lot of these websites are the country of origin websites, so be prepared to see a different language if you type in those websites. But yeah, this is an awesome knife, and I want to give you a little close-up on it. Would love to have it. Love to have it. Reading this book, I've came to the conclusion of how I'm going to define gentleman's knives, because you know, I love defining different types of tactical knives, like a tactical EDC, backup knife, or back off, get off of me knives, tactical photo, or tactical fighting knives, or fighting photo knives, combat utility knives, fighters. You know, I like to define the subcategories of knives, and I've come to the conclusion the best definition for a gentleman's knife is a knife that does not scare people when you use it in general public. Now, obviously, if you're a student in school, especially grade school, it's not socially acceptable to carry knives, although it was acceptable at my school in high school. But you know, in colleges, office environments, church, picnics, these gentleman's knives, like this Hiko Nagami, they're not a big threat to people. People are more interested in them than they are scared of them. So these knives are really what I'm interested in these days. Still love tactical knives, but Stridals, Medfords, Sniper Blade Works, I could really care less for them. You know, there's a big difference between whipping this knife out to open up mail or open up a box or cut up food, and pulling out this knife to open a box, cut up your apple, open your mail. And I love this knife because it's beautiful, it's functional, and it gives you a big advantage in a tactical situation. Stridals and Medfords do not. So they're just tactical knives, in my opinion. And you can call me silly for referring to those knives as tactical, but that's my opinion on it. But these knives, they're just beautiful, and they work, and they're not trying to scare people. They're actually trying to attract people, in my opinion. These are beautiful blades that do their job beautifully. And there was one or two more knives I want to show you. Here we go. Taylor Eyewitness Barlow. I'm not a big Barlow fan. Barlow is a very historically significant blade, but this knife, holy crap, is awesome. It's from a time when Sheffield was king. And in this book, they talk about how the reason why the Sheffield cutlery industry died was because of World War I, and basically everybody was killed. So there's not a whole lot of Sheffield knife companies that are producing the same quality of work that they did in the 19th century. But this would definitely have to be one. Has the vine work with the brass liners, mirror polish, beautiful Barlow. Would love to have it. Went on the UK website. It was out of stock. I don't know if you have to order it and then they make it, or if they make it and then you have to just find it when it's in stock. But it's basically from their heritage line. You know, they make like kitchen cutlery and stuff that's not very exciting. And then you click on the link and it's, wow, you have art right there. Functional art, or functional art. I saw the review on that. It's a beautiful knife, but I don't like it. Don't know why a dog eared it. That's not the knife I wanted to see. There was a page on Abraham Lincoln's preferred knife and some funny stories about Abraham Lincoln. Eisenhower's preferred knife. He talks about some presidential knives. And there was a modern knife that I really want to show you, and I can't find it. There's a Canadian knife that I like, but I don't like the flipper design. This is not the knife I'm looking for, but it's an awesome knife. It has a weird kind of window lock on it. Let's see, where's that dory knife? Here we go. This is the knife that I wanted to show you. And it's a French knife, and I really love this knife. It's the dory. It's kind of a nautical themed knife, different handle scales, but you got a squared off blade, straight edge, kind of cleaver like, but not like tactical cleaver. but like a gentleman's cleaver knife, I guess you can say. And it's beautiful, and I really wanted to show you this knife because I want it. He does traditional knives, he does modern knives, and there was a Masusta. I actually like Masusta. My brother has a Masusta. I can't say it. They were beautiful knives, and if you want a very affordable gentleman's knife that has Damascus and VG10 and some anodization, I would much rather have one of these knives than a Sabenza. I don't care for Sabenza. To me, there's not a whole lot special about Sabenza, and they don't turn me on. Like, I saw one Sabenza with like mammoth bulk ivory, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, but to me, they're not interesting. These knives are all interesting to me. Hate that knife. I guess I'll show you the tin onion knife if I can find it. I don't want to give away the whole book. Victorinox Solitaire. Love the A-Lock series from Victorinox. Love that Benchmade. There's the tin onion knife that I would get if it didn't have a flipper. For some reason flippers irritate me, you know, especially if they have a strong detent. If I handle this in person and the detent wasn't too strong, I might get it, but I'm not going to buy it just from looking at it in the book. But that's the book. It's a great coffee table book. You know, a lot of good content in it, and highly recommended. It's like $27 Prime on Amazon, and guess I'll just put these knives right here. Check out the channel, check out the book. It's awesome. It's just for dyslexia people and having stuff in different languages, and the bad contrasting or the non-contrasting print. It can be a little bit difficult to read, but other than that, love it. Love the channel, love the book. Thank you for watching. I'm Satsu5, and I'm out.